Hello from the Daily Dad. We are taking an end-of-summer road trip to the Outer Banks, and that means that you get to come along for the ride too. 3 days, 3 nights, and a tank full of gas. If you've never been to the Outer Banks, put this destination on your list of places to visit, and these 5 awesome things on your list of things to do while you're there. Vroom vroom, here we go. Number 5. Jockey's Ridge State Park at sunrise and sunset. Do you remember when we were kids and we used to love playing in the sand, whether it was at the beach or maybe in the sandbox that your dad built for you in your backyard? Here, the entire park is your sandbox. It features the largest sand dune on the East Coast, rising over 100 feet. When you climb to its top, you can look to the east and see the Atlantic Ocean. When you look to the west, you can see the Roanoke Sound. So, from that same spot, you can watch the sun rise over one body of water and then set over another. It's the perfect place to go if you are a nature lover, a romantic, or that playful child that never grew up. Number 4. The town of Manteo on Roanoke Island. There are 3 reasons to set aside half a day to explore Manteo. First, there's the quaint waterside area that begs for an hour or 2 of your time so that you can leisurely stroll around the pier area, stop by one of the many interesting souvenir shops, and to visit the shortest of the Outer Banks lighthouses, rising just 37 feet into the air. Also worth checking out, you'll find moored here a replica of a true-to-size ship that you can tour, which was identical to the one that brought England's first settlers to the New World. Second, for a calming change of scenery, visit the Elizabethan Gardens. In this botanical garden, you can easily spend an hour wandering the lovely grounds that are spread out over 10 acres. You'll find all sorts of flora as well as various artwork that commemorate the first English settlers in this area. Walking through the garden is a great way to turn off the world, if only for an hour. Finally, Fort Raleigh Historic Site explores what happened to those first settlers, long before Jamestown was settled and before the Pilgrims arrived at Plymouth Rock. England's first settlers arrived on Roanoke Island in 1585, but when a supply ship arrived only 3 years later, the settlers could not be found. They became known as the Lost Colony, and 440 years later, they are still the subject of much fascination. Manteo offers you history and mystery, and it's a terrific off-the-beaten-path experience. Number 3. Lighthouses and life-saving stations. There is nothing more iconic, more beautiful, more symbolic of the Outer Banks than the lighthouses that dot the North Carolina coastline. You can climb 2 of the lighthouses, including this one, which is located in a town called Corolla at the northern tip of the Outer Banks. Built in 1873, 220 stairs to the top, 137 feet tall, and the lighthouse's lens provides a beacon of safety that can be seen about 20 miles out to sea. By the way, did you know that sailors could identify which lighthouse they saw by both its day mark, which is the exterior design, and its night mark, which was the light sequence in which the light blinked? Isn't that cool? Equally fascinating are the life-saving stations that were built throughout the Outer Banks in the late 1800s. Manned by brave rescue workers called surfmen, they raced out into the foreboding ocean to aid ships in peril. Make it a point to visit the fully preserved life-saving station in Roanoke, as you can tour and relive what it was like to be one of those surfmen, which has to be one of the toughest jobs one can imagine at the turn of the century. Today, many of these stations have been lost due to neglect or natural disasters. A few, though, have been repurposed into homes or commercial buildings or restaurants. Due to the distance from one lighthouse to another and from one life-saving station to another, I don't recommend seeing all of these structures as a one-day trip. You should plan ahead and incorporate a visit to a lighthouse or a life-saving station as you're visiting other nearby towns and attractions. But visiting them should be high on your list. It's a captivating look back at this area's maritime history a century and a half ago. Number 2, we're heading to Cape Hatteras and Ocracoke Island. This full-day trip will take you as far south as you can drive in the Outer Banks. Despite the drive time, it'll definitely be worth it. Cape Hatteras not only features the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, the most famous and the tallest of the Outer Banks lighthouses, but equally interesting is the graveyard of the Atlantic Museum, which explores the history of shipwrecks along the Outer Banks. Quick note though on the lighthouse, it is currently going through an extensive renovation effort and there is no clear timeline as to when it might reopen, but it's still worth a visit in its current state because you can look at the gift shop and adjacent museum, and you can also listen to a park ranger presentation about this lighthouse's history. From Cape Hatteras, board the free vehicle ferry that will take you on a 45-minute boat ride southwards until you arrive at Ocracoke Island. It's an idyllic community of less than 1,000 full-time residents where renting a bicycle or a golf cart is encouraged. The maximum speed within the town's borders is just 20 miles per hour. Stop by the southernmost lighthouse in the Outer Banks, check out the eclectic monuments that revisit Ocracoke Island's significance during the Civil War, sit in one of the several bars, and do absolutely nothing. Ha ha ha, the island life. Finally, we're flying high with our number 1 experience, and that's the Wright Brothers Memorial in Kitty Hawk. We live in the Washington, D.C. area, and we have been to the impressive Wright Brothers exhibit that recently opened at the Smithsonian's Air and Space Museum. But that experience pales in comparison to being at Ground Zero, where it all happened, where human flight was achieved. 2 things really stand out here at Kitty Hawk. In the display room, you'll see a replica of the Wright Flyer. To be fair, the Smithsonian actually has the original Wright Flyer on display. However, here, one of the park rangers gives a fascinating talk about how the apparatus actually worked, how the wings moved, and illustrates how the pilot needed to shift his body while laying flat on his belly in order to allow the plane to turn left and right, to lift and to land. Then you can walk outside to view the takeoff and landing area, which was really just a very long meadow. Today, markers identify where the plane took off and how far it went before the Wright brothers declared their contraption a success. Really, your sense of awe will just steadily grow as you learn how the impossible became reality. Well, it's time to head back home. It's been a great road trip for so many great reasons, and we're glad that you came along with us. If you've been to the Outer Banks and have a recommendation, please drop that into the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, this is the Daily Dad reminding you to try new things and to be happy.